I'm Craig Sager, and this is Baseball 86. Although we've had a game in Pittsburgh postponed by snow and freezing temperatures, the beginning of the baseball season signifies the end of a long, cold winter. No other sport has ushered into its season with a frolic and celebration of baseball from coast to coast. CNN's Dan Patrick reports from Baltimore. Dennis Kirkpatrick from Los Angeles.
Opening day and the rites of spring, a time when every team reserves the right to dream, and so does the game's commissioner.
Well, I know that our problems are over with. And the public may not believe that, but it'll be proven this year. And we'll get back to fine tar, and we'll get back to some of those kinds of problems and those serious difficulties. And it's going to be baseball back to baseball.
This is the commissioner's second year in office. Also his second year of fighting the sport's biggest problem, drugs. Now for the on-the-field concerns. Headaches the commissioner actually welcomes. One question, the future of the designated hitter. Should the National League adopt it or the American League drop it?
I think that's a good controversy. Let's keep that one going. I mean, the public seems split on that. The polling we've seen is 46 to 54, depending on what city. And it reverses in a city that has it, and it reverses the other way in a city that doesn't have it.
Baseball enjoyed record attendance last season, but are there enough fans to go around to support two more teams? The football-saturated cities of Washington and Denver are high on the expansion list. As I found out, it's not easy pinning down the commissioner on who gets a team and when.
You're only saying a couple years?
I mean, a few years, not a couple years. A couple normally means two. I don't know. It's up to, again, both the union and the owners have to do that.
Now, with a team, they can win a national title, they can win a championship. How do you know how you did the first year?
Well, I think the fans will tell you whether they turn out or not this year. I think baseball has a bright future. People love this game, and they're in a love affair with it, and it's going to increase rather than decrease. I thought I saw the ball coming over.
You're not a good fielder.
No, not a good fielder.
For over 100 years now, baseball has been the national pastime. And if Commissioner Peter Ueberroth has any say-so in the matter, it will remain that way. From opening day in Baltimore, I'm Dan Patrick, CNN Sports.
In Los Angeles, there's a reason to get to the ballpark early. But this early?
10 minutes after 8.
Why?
Because I don't like to sit on the freeway. I hate bumper to bumper, and I just like sitting over here and crocheting or reading.
Inside, players were preparing for the first of 162 games they'll play this season. And while there were 5 opening day games, the atmosphere at Dodger Stadium was unique. Just ask Bill Madlock, who's toiled most of his career in Pittsburgh, where the first ball tossed out just might be a snowball.
But I open up when it's 25 degrees back east, but out here, it's not the best of weather, but it's still 100% better than what I'm used to open up in.
Native Californians like Padre Tim Flannery can handle the weather.
If I wasn't playing today, I probably have got up real early and surfed and caught a few waves and then came to the ballpark and watched the ball game.
Some at Dodger Stadium never expected to be here. However, fate dealt a hand. Biff Roberts earned the Padres' starting second base job after Alan Wiggins was traded.
I don't know. Back in Little League, I never thought about playing in the big leagues. It didn't really cross my mind until, like I said, I got in the Pirate organization, and then it didn't cross my mind. And now it's here, and there are words that I can't explain it.
And Franklin Stubbs became the Dodgers' starting left fielder because of an injury to Pedro Guerrero.
You dream of it, you know, but, you'd have dreams of starting. You never know. I didn't think it would be in left field. But the good Lord worked things out, and I'm here.
So were the 52,000-plus fans who were treated to a show of Hollywood proportions. There were dancing girls and cue the birds. But the star of the pregame show was Pedro Guerrero, who left his hospital bed to throw out the ceremonial first pitch. For most teams, opening day is expected to be a sellout. But for the Dodgers, baseball's perennial attendance leader, this kind of home crowd just sets the pace for the rest of the year. Dennis Kirkpatrick, CNN, Dodger Stadium, Los Angeles.
The Kansas City Royals held their home opener Friday afternoon. And after the pregame ceremonies, the game, which the Royals lost 6-2, was anticlimactic. The team received their World Series rings as 1985 World Champions. This is George Brett's prized possession.
For All-Star games and other things, and I've given every ring to my father. I told my father last year after we won the World Series, I said, Dad, this is one ring you're not going to get. So this is the one that means more to me than anything that I've ever done before in my life.
Brett also received his first Gold Glove, and his teammate Brett Saberhagen on his 22nd birthday received the Cy Young as the best pitcher in the American League. Meanwhile, a year ago, the California Angels finished a game behind the Royals in the West. Last night, Brian Downing hit his third home run of the season, this one with the bases loaded. The Angels over the Oakland A's 9-3. Pete Incaviglia, the rookie for Texas, hit his first home run. That sparked the comeback for the Texas Rangers against the Baltimore Orioles. Texas went on to win the ball game in the ninth inning. They had the winning runs on base when Don Ossie tried to pick Oda B. McDowell off first. The ball got away. Tom Paciorek is a dead duck, or so it appears, at home plate. But watch what happens. He pops the ball loose. He scores. So does Oda B. McDowell. Texas over Baltimore 5-4. An unbelievable comeback and an update on the Masters when we come back on Baseball 86. First, a look at last night's scores. It's difficult, if not impossible, to compare players of different generations. Yet baseball, with its history, statistics, and records, entices such arguments. CNN's John Fricke bridges the generation gap with a Hall of Fame scouting report on Dwight Gooden and Don Mattingly.
Ask former ball players who the best young stars in baseball are, and the response is almost unanimous.
I would have to say the Big Apple in New York has a market on two of them.
Dwight Gooden and Don Mattingly, equals but opposites. Both shy from the limelight offered them in the media capital of the world, yet both have been honored as the best at what they do. Last season, Gooden won pitching's Triple Crown, leading the majors in wins, earned run average, and strikeouts, the first to accomplish that feat since Sandy Koufax, to which Koufax said, quote, "I'd trade anybody's past for Dwight Gooden's future."
And I don't think I had enough time in the big leagues yet to say that I'm a superstar or I'm capable of doing these things or to be compared, you know, to some future Hall of Famers.
To the Hall of Famers, all that the man nicknamed Dr. K is lacking is longevity.
There's stardom written on him. There's no question about that.
Would I like to face Dwight Gooden? No, thank you. I just see him as almost unhittable.
To me, I think he's one of the best young pitcher I've ever seen in my life.
Tremendous athlete, and he might be the best that ever pitched, but he's got a long way to go.
Hey, Catfish. Hey, Dwight.
Gooden has risen to stardom in such a short time. He was the youngest Cy Young winner ever 3 days before he turned 21. Don Mattingly didn't miss by very long, being named the American League's most valuable player in 1984 at the age of 23.
I don't really consider myself to be the best player. I don't even look at it like that.
He may not, but others do. Last year, he drove in 145 runs, most by a Yankee in nearly 4 decades. Yankee fans voted him the most popular player, but his fans are more than just Yankee boosters.
I think Don Mattingly is just certainly going to be a future Hall of Famer.
Don is certainly has to be categorized as that, and he's got all the talent in the world.
I think he's just going to put some outstanding numbers on the board before he retires.
Mattingly and Gooden, they have made it in New York. All that may be left is to make it in Cooperstown, but one word of caution.
I remember Denny McLain and Mark Fidrich, Joe Charbonneau, and predicting Hall of Fame status for young fellows who only had 2 years in the big leagues of being very, very foolish.
Foolish, maybe, but certainly not far out. John Fricke, CNN Sports.
At one time, it was not out of the question to mention Dennis Leonard as a possible Hall of Famer. But that was 3 years and 4 operations ago. This afternoon, Leonard makes his first start since May 28, 1983. CNN medical correspondent Gary Schweitzer has the story of one of baseball's most incredible comebacks.
If a pitcher gets hurt, it's usually his arm. Dennis Leonard of the Kansas City Royals is a tragic reminder of what else can go wrong. Cincinnati surgeon Frank Noyes eventually patched up what blew apart.
He was coming down on his leg. He suddenly flexed his knee. In that position, you can put about 1 to 2 tons of force on that patellar tendon. So that produced a partial rupture.
The patellar tendon is the big, strong connection between the kneecap and the lower leg. The tear on the left side drawing was the worst Noyes had ever seen, with the tissue like cottage cheese. The 3-way reconnection on the right used a cadaver tendon graft, a tendon from the back of Leonard's leg, and what was left of his own tendon.
It's almost like trying to suture spaghetti to spaghetti. You just don't have anything of sufficient strength to repair.
For almost 3 years now, and almost always alone, Dennis Leonard has worked to come back from that injury, an injury of the sort few athletes and no major league pitchers have ever come back from. When the injury occurred, Leonard was the winningest right-handed pitcher in baseball. He also had an $800,000 a year contract guaranteed through this year. He could have quit and collected anyway. Instead, he has tackled a comeback that has captured the attention and admiration of all of baseball.
You don't realize the effort that it takes, not only for an athlete, but for any other person to put in to try to get back to being so-called normal. One thing that got me over that mental hump, was being able to go to the ballpark and watch my kids play and coach my 2 kids last year. And I do all the work early at the ballpark. I'd leave when the team got there, but that was my outlet. Everybody needs an outlet, whether some people have golf, fishing, hunting, something. And last year, that was it.
What happened in Leonard's knee could happen in weightlifting or basketball or volleyball. It's the same process as tennis elbow problems or shoulder rotator cuff complaints. Overuse, overstrain, a partial tear, decreased blood flow, and then the big bang. His knee has been rebuilt and retrained to withstand those 2-ton forces. Success is probably not measured medically now, but athletically on the field. Leonard knows if he doesn't perform this year, his career is probably over. Gary Schweitzer, CNN, at baseball spring training.
Leonard makes his comeback this afternoon in front of a capacity crowd at Royal Stadium and a national TV audience. Last night, there was a comeback of a different sort. Steve Howe, once the top relief pitcher for the Los Angeles Dodgers, took the mound in San Jose, California. It was a Class A baseball game between San Jose and Salinas. Howe pitched 5 scoreless innings. He and the Bees won the ball game 4-1. Among the teams there scouting Howe for a possible return to the major leagues, the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll be back with a pitcher whose talents would best be suited to the National League, where he can win games with his bat as well as his arm. And we'll visit with a Major League fan who's been going to games before the town at a Major League team.
Downing's third of the young season capped a 5-run California ninth as the Angels generally clobbered the A's 10-3. In Arlington, Texas, Earl Weaver's Orioles threw one away, literally. 2 outs, Rangers on first and second in the bottom of the ninth. Baltimore leads 5-4 till Don Ase's errant pickoff attempt allows both runners to score. Oda B. McDowell's run scored all the way from first was the winner as Texas embarrassed Baltimore 5-4. And that'll do it for now. I'm Tom Kirkland, Headline Sports.
Of all time was probably Babe Ruth, who eventually made the switch to the outfield so his bat could be in the lineup every day. In college baseball, it could be Winfred Johnson.
Wednesday, Johnson became the first player in NCAA history to hit 60 home runs and win 30 games. When Johnson is not on the mound, he plays first base for the East Carolina Pirates. Wednesday's homer not only gave Johnson the career NCAA mark, it ended a 2-week slump.
I'm not sure that didn't have something to do with it. I hope it didn't. I was really trying to put that out of my mind and just go out there and help our team win and do the things that I could do to contribute. And I did hit a slump and really wasn't swinging the bat well, but I went out extra and did some working, on my own and stuff, and I feel a lot better at the plate right now.
A big blow at the time. It was a key run in the game, and it was a very important run in a key conference game. I'm sure it is a load off his mind. I'm sure he's relieved, and we'll just go on from there.
Johnson also went the distance, picking up his 8th win of the season and the 32nd of his career.
Johnson is probably the best hitting pitcher in college since Tim Lawler, now with the Boston Red Sox. Lawler was an All-American at Arkansas. As a designated hitter, we might see action this year as a pinch hitter for the Red Sox. The Atlanta Braves were unveiled in early April 1966. When they celebrated their 20th anniversary on April 8, 1986, Pearl Sando was in the stands, just as she was on that day back in 1966 and every day since. CNN's Don Lennox reports from Atlanta Stadium.
Some people might say she's just another face in the crowd. But if the face is Pearl Sandoz, the crowd is more than likely at an Atlanta Braves baseball game.
Since 1934, she's only missed one game. That would be 52 years. One missed game in 52 years. I mean, is there anybody else in America that's been to that many games?
Miss Sandow has seen every Braves home game, and she's missed only one minor league game in Atlanta since 1934. And she had a good reason for that one.
My mother had a stroke, and I wouldn't leave her, and she worried about it till her death, but I was told if I hadn't missed it, I never would have made sporting news.
She has a simple explanation for all of this. For every game she's seen, there's a souvenir and a memory. Collectors are always after her to sell.
I'm not interested in selling. I collected all this stuff myself, and it means something to me.
There's something else that's meaningful in the baseball odyssey of Pearl Sandow, the extended family that has developed.
I was sitting at the ballpark one night, and this lady and her husband came up, and she said, "Are you Pearl?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Well, I'm Jerry Royster's mother, and I hear you've adopted him, and I came over to tell you have to take the rest of my children, too."
Hi, how are you?
How are you? Glad to see you. She never misses a game. She be here rain, shine, sleet, or snow. She's great.
I've known Chuck Tanner since when he came in. He was 17 years old.
She looks the same now as she did in '51 to me. Her life is baseball, and she loves the game, but I think she just loves the people that go out there and perform, and she truly is the #1 lady in baseball.
Somebody might say that was a dull life. To me, it's the most exciting life anybody can live.
Don Lennox, CNN.
CNN Sports Saturday, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Updates on the Masters, the comeback of Dennis Leonard. Our guest on CNN Sports Sunday, Dominique Wilkins, the NBA scoring leader. I'm Craig Sager. Bob Richards has Sports Update in 15 minutes.